Okay, so if you are a landlord in the city of Los Angeles, you've probably heard by now that you have to register your property with the Department of Housing, LAHD, and you have to do this even if your property is not under rent control. It used to be that only rent control properties had to register, but now it applies to others as well. And I'm going to show you and walk you through how I've done this and all the different pieces that I've gone through, show you some code sections that control the service and notice requirements and the process for getting different documents filled out the way that I've done it. So let's go take a look. So if you have not yet registered, in order to register for the rent registry, you're going to need and to pay for it, you're going to need a statement number, and you're not going to be able to get that until you first do this registration application. So you can find this at housing website. You can also just look it up. So you're going to fill this out. You're going to need your APN, your assessor parcel number, the property address, and you're going to put new owner, assuming, because you, like I said, we're assuming that you haven't done this before. You put the owner of record, you fill out all the information, and then see that you're going to need your deeds as well. They are not going to process this without that. So I did this with recorded grant deed. You can see that there are other options, but one of these 5 has to be submitted. And in and if you don't have those, you can get them from the county recorder's office. So we're going to assume that you are not doing any sort of exemption. So and if that's the case, then you can just skip that section. You're going to email it to lahd.billing@lacity.org. Okay, so when you send the application, the housing department will send a bill back to you, and on this bill will have a statement number. I've redacted this for now for privacy and confidentiality, but your statement number will appear there. The other thing to keep in mind is that it's quite possible that there will be too many RSO units under build. Like, for example, if you built an ADU on a single family home, the ADU is not under rent control if it is new, right? Because it's going to be post the rent control date, at least as of right now. Still, as you might recall, we had a ballot measure that didn't pass over the 2024 November election to get rid of that, but for now it's still in place, and that's as of the date of this video. If you have that kind of situation where you have a new ADU and an old house, the ADU wouldn't apply because of the date, but the single family home, which before was not under rent control because it was a single family home, now that you have 2 units, it is under rent control because it's also older and it's part of a multifamily. So it's this weird thing where you have 2 units. The new one that you're building is not under rent control, but now the old unit that wasn't under rent control before now becomes subject to rent control. So in that situation, this first bill, as of right now, they might fix this, is going to have this discrepancy where this is just the way they have to do it. They have to add 2 units and then it exempt it. So it's not an actual exemption in the way that our rent registry exemptions work. It's just the way the department is doing it. So it's going to say 2 units build RSO, but only, this is a fee per unit, but only 1 fee is being calculated in the balance. So that you do still have to pay 2 SCEPs. Now, if you go further down, you will see that in this document, there will also be a rent registry form. So here's your 2000 annual rent registry form. This information will be pre-filled with the address, and then you have to put in the rest. But if you look here, it actually tells you that it's better to do this online and not by mail and not on this form. But if you had to do it, you can do it on the form. It just might take longer, so you might miss your deadline. It also has instructions. These forms are actually quite often very self-explanatory. So if you look at part 1, this is part 1, so it has explanation for part 1 here. And for part 2, which is this part for the information, you can see this is part 2. It says, they have numbers for each one. Again, so you go to number 1, street number, street name, unit number, if applicable. And you do the same thing for the next unit. So you can, keep going, and then sign, date. For all of this, I'm not saying you should do that. Because I'm not giving you any sort of advice. As always, this is not legal advice. I'm just sharing what I do. And then, there's no attorney-client relationship established. I'm just telling you, when I say you, what I actually mean is the general you, that this is what I do. So, and then I put the current monthly rent. And then if you were going to do this online, you would go to registrylarent.org. And there, it's a little bit confusing because when you first go in and you have to create an account, you're going to go to this website, housingbill.lacity.org/billing. You're going to register as a first-time registration. You're going to fill that information, go down, click register, and it will take you to the portal. There you can add your property. So here it will let you add a property, and you put the APN, put the statement number. This is why you need the statement number. So you add the property as owner, owner's representative, and then you click add, and then your property will be here, and the amount due will show up, so you can pay here or request exemptions. Now, when you if you haven't yet registered it, there will be entries here with a red and saying edit. That edit will be for you to actually do the registration. It just seems a little counterintuitive. But so once you do the registration, you put in the information and you pay the fee, you will get a certificate. So they will both send you this certificate, likely by email. You can also download it directly from your account, although it won't show up right away, even though you've paid both pieces, because it will keep saying you have to have paid both, but you have paid, you have done both. You've paid and you've completed it. Just give it time. Once it emails, it will also be available to download. So if your property is rent controlled, you're going to have to post. So here it says that you can't collect rent or even ask for rent without first getting the registration and serving it on the tenant or displaying it in a conspicuous place. So that means somewhere obvious. A valid written registration statement from the department or designee. And then also for all the renewals. So this means you have to then take that certificate and either post or serve it to the tenant. Now, you also have to, if you're rent controlled, you also have to post and serve the rent control notice. So that's actually in this other section. You also have to post the rent control notice. So if you look for every property for which a landlord is required to procure a written registration, again, if you have to register, landlord shall post a notice on a form prescribed by the department providing information about the rent stabilization ordinance and the department's contact information. Notices must be posted in a conspicuous location in the lobby of the property, near a mailbox used by all residents on the property, or in or near a public entrance to the property. The notice shall be written in English and Spanish. This is one thing that is required for the rent control notice and not necessarily the other ones, and any other languages is required by the department. So this approved form is this. So if you go look for rent control notice, you will find this, and you see that it's in English and Spanish. It says, tells them about rent control. It gives the contact information for the department. So it meets all the requirement in the code, and that's kind of how they do it. They have a code, and then they go implement them with these forms and things. So if you just like it says here, you have to post this in a conspicuous place. So for this one, again, only posting is enough. Same thing with the registration. It's either post or serve. But the next thing is, in addition to these, the recent Just Cause ordinance says that a landlord of a residential real property subject to this article shall provide notice of the protections of this article as follows. So for this one, which is a different notice, it's this one, City of Los Angeles Rent Protection Notice, which gives all the different protections. So it tells your tenants about rent control, but it also tells them about just cause evictions. So you can see here rent increases under RSO, but also the at-fault evictions and no-fault evictions. It tells them about all of that. And this one is available in different languages, but you can see here, but only English is on this one notice. It's not like the RSO notice that comes with 2 languages, and that's because the code does not require that it be in every language. So you just, they've provided that one, but other languages are available. Okay, so if you look here again, so for you have to give this notice as follows: for any tenancy commenced or renewed on or after the effective date, which is sometime in 2023, that has already passed. You have to give it as a written notice to the tenant, so you have to actually give it to the tenant, and then you also shall post a notification in a form prescribed by the department in an accessible common area of the property. So that form prescribed by the department is this, and in a accessible common area of the property. So you'll have to find an area that's accessible, and it's a common area of the property. So for this, you have to both give it to them and post it. For your registration certificate, it's enough to do one or the other, and for the rent control, you have to post it. Don't forget, it has to be done every year, and you have to post the renewal every year. The property is not enough to just post it for that first time. You have to post the renewal every time, and if you're going to have it vacant, you still have to go through this process, and actually an extra process to get that exemption. And yeah, that's about it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact my office or post comments. As always, this is not a solicitation for legal services, but you are welcome to reach out. And if you do realize this could be construed as advertising, and you will see some notices at the bottom, some disclaimers at the bottom required by law about that. Yeah, so good luck.